Greetings everyone, my name is Gigi and this is Let's Build, wherein I build a LEGO set, time to different media, and talk about the facts concerning the topic of the build. Today's build is the LEGO Mini Orchid versus B52 for the NES. All footage I am using is for science, educational, and research purposes. My content is transformative and protected under fair use. All footage is time-lapse with commentary. I apologize in advance for pronouncing names and/or places incorrectly, and these scientific names are going to give me a hard time. If you want to help me get the attention of LEGO, please give me a like and subscribe. Specifications of the LEGO set. Let creativity blossom with the LEGO Mini Orchid building kit for adults. A gorgeous decorative plant gift for women, men, and flower fans. This orchid makes a stunning floral display that will never need to be watered. The lifelike replica features 5 orchid flowers in bloom and a few in bud, as well as leaves for extra authenticity. It also comes with a light terracotta flower pot that sits on a beautiful wood effect plinth, making it easy for budding florists to display the LEGO flower proudly as a beautiful home or office decor to bring the tranquility of nature into any living or working space. Part of a classic quartet of beautiful plants known as the Four Gentlemen in traditional art. The orchid represents the season of spring and is believed to symbolize new beginnings, making this adult LEGO set a thoughtful housewarming gift, birthday gift, or a kind gesture on special occasions. Floral display. Let creativity blossom with the LEGO Botanicals Mini Orchid building kit for adults, which lets budding florists create and display a LEGO flower. Authentic details. The nature-inspired building set includes 5 peach blooms, a few buds, and green leaves for lifelike look, as well as a light terracotta flower pot with a wood effect plinth. A meaningful plant. The orchid represents the season of spring, and in traditional art it is believed to represent new beginnings. LEGO decor. Once complete, the LEGO flower set becomes a piece of nature-themed home or office decor. Plant gift. The building set makes a gift for women, men, and nature lovers and can be given as a housewarming gift, birthday gift, Mother's Day gift, or Father's Day gift. Build more blooms. This LEGO Botanicals collection flower is part of the Four Gentlemen series, which represents the 4 seasons, with sets sold separately, designed to be displayed together. Dimensions. The LEGO Orchid has 274 pieces and stands over 10 inches tall. Peach Phalaenopsis Orchid. A staple in interior decor, the orchid is often seen as a popular motif in art. In a tradition that spans more than 1,000 years, it is often portrayed in ink and wash paintings as part of a classic quartet of beautiful plants known as the Four Gentlemen, or the Four Noble Ones. Together they represent the virtues and continuous circle of the seasons: the orchid, spring, the bamboo as summer, the chrysanthemum as autumn, and the plum as winter. With its beauty and endurance, the orchid symbolizes nobility, friendship, and integrity, all refined virtues of a scholar. Noble by nature. Creating LEGO decor that draws inspiration from nature is a relaxing and rewarding way to set your imagination free. With their flawless symmetry, orchid blossoms peek out to greet us from the humblest nooks and crannies in nature. They stretch toward the light and absorb nutrients and moisture from their surroundings. This model captures every stage of the natural life cycle of an orchid, from emerging buds to full blossoms, and you can play with the posable petals to adjust it organically and find new ways to let it brighten your space. Whether it sparks your curiosity for new, noble, scholarly pursuits, or nurtures your growing creativity, we hope you will enjoy the experience. The LEGO Botanicals Design Team. Phalaenopsis, also known as moth orchids, is a genus of about 70 species of plants in the family Orchidaceae. Orchids in this genus are monopodial epiphytes or lithophytes with long, coarse roots, short leafy stems, and long-lasting flat flowers arranged in a flowering stem that often branches near the end. Orchids in this genus are native to Asia, New Guinea, and Australia, but mostly occur in Indonesia and the Philippines. Description: orchids in the genus Phalaenopsis are monopodial epiphytic, sometimes lithophytic herbs with long coarse roots with nematodes, which allow for gaseous exchange of the photosynthetic roots, and short leafy stems hidden by overlapping leaf bases. The leaves are usually arranged in 2 rows, relatively large and leathery, oblong to elliptic, and sometimes succulent. A few to many, small to large, long-lasting, flat, often fragrant flowers are arranged on erect to hanging panicles. The sepals and petals are free from and spread widely apart from each other. The lateral sepals are usually larger than the dorsal sepal, and the petals much wider than the sepals. The labellum is joined stiffly to the column and has 3 lobes. The side lobes are erect and more or less parallel to each other, and the middle lobe sometimes has a pair of appendages or antennae. Reproduction. Unlike most other angiosperms, the development of the ovules is triggered by pollination. Therefore, a temporal mismatch of male and female gametes exist. The male structures are ready, but the female structures have not yet been fully developed. In orchids, fertilization occurs within days or months after the pollination event. After pollination occurs, the stigmatic cavity is often closed through swelling of the column. As a result, the pollinia are completely enclosed. The pollen germinates after enclosure and tubes are produced. In Phalaenopsis aphrodite, pollen tubes entered the ovary within 3 days after pollination. Within 15 days, pollen tubes evenly spread throughout the placental cavities. Within 60 days after the pollination event, 30.6% of the tips of the pollen tubes started to enter the micropiles, or entry points of the ovules. Finally, 65 to 70 days after the pollination event, fertilization occurs. Phalaenopsis are unique in that some species of the subgenus Polychilos, the flowers turn into green leaves after pollination. As in many other plants, the petals of the orchid flowers serve to attract pollinating insects and protect essential organs. Following pollination, petals will usually wilt and disintegrate because it is metabolically expensive to maintain them. However, in many Phalaenopsis species, such as P. violacea, the petals and sepals find new uses through pollination, thus escaping the programmed cell death. In producing chloroplasts, they turn green, become fleshy, and start to photosynthesize as the leaves do. Phytochemistry. Floral fragrance has been analyzed for several species. The fragrance of Phalaenopsis balenea has been shown to be composed of about 79 compounds, primarily of the terpenoid class. It was most intense in the morning. In Phalaenopsis, phenylpropanoid enzymes are enhanced in the process of plant acclimatization at different levels of photosynthetic photon flux. Taxonomy. The genus Phalaenopsis was first formally described in 1825 by Carl Ludwig Bloom, and the description was published in Biedringen tot de Flora van Nederlandsche Indie. The name Phalaenopsis is derived from ancient Greek, meaning kind of moth, with the suffix opsis meaning having the appearance of or like. The genus name is abbreviated phal horticulturally. Ecology. The pollination of Phalaenopsis pulcherrima through bees has been recorded in China. This species employs a deceptive pollination strategy. The orchid does not provide rewards to pollinators. It benefits from blooming in the same period as rewarding species. Amegula is the most important pollinator, but diurnal insects such as the 4 species of bees, 2 species of butterflies, 1 species of moth, and other unidentified insects have also been observed to interact with the flowers. Conservation. Many species are highly threatened. For instance, Phalaenopsis linendi is characterized as endangered. Phalaenopsis violacea is characterized as vulnerable, and Phalaenopsis mycolitzi is characterized as critically endangered. Some species, like P. javanica, are believed to be extinct in the world. Use in horticulture. Phalaenopsis in the horticultural trade are among the most popular orchids sold as potted plants, owing to the ease of propagation and flowering under artificial conditions. They were among the first tropical orchids in Victorian collections. Since the advent of the tetraploid hybrid Phalaenopsis doris, they have become extremely easy to grow and flower in the home, as long as some care is taken to provide them with conditions that are approximate to their native habitats. Their commercial production has become an industry. If very healthy, a Phalaenopsis plant may have up to 10 or more leaves. They bloom in their full glory for several weeks. If kept in the home, the flowers may last 2 to 3 months, after which a Phalaenopsis orchid will need to conserve energy for further leaf, bud, and root development. In nature, Phalaenopsis species are typically found in warm temperatures, thriving in temperatures of around 20 to 35 Celsius, which is about 68 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, but are adaptable to conditions more comfortable for human habitation in temperate zones. At temperatures below 64.4 degrees Fahrenheit, overwatering causes root rot, and the plants will also drop their leaves if they experience temperatures below 60 degrees Fahrenheit for extended periods. Phalaenopsis prefer moderate humidity, about 60 to 70%, and low light of 12,000 to 20,000 lux. However, Phalaenopsis orchids can adapt to lower humidity found in most homes. They are also typically hardier than other species of orchids, and this makes them particularly popular among first-time orchid growers. The flower spikes appear from the pockets near the base of each leaf. The first sign is a light green mitten-like object that protrudes from the basal leaf tissue. Over approximately 3 months, the spike elongates until it begins to swell fat buds that will bloom. It previously was believed that flowering is triggered by a nighttime drop in temperature of around 5 to 6 degrees over 2 or 4 consecutive weeks, usually in the fall, and a daytime drop in temperature below 29 degrees Celsius, 84 degrees Fahrenheit, using 2 Phalaenopsis clones. Matthew G. Blanchard and Eric S. Runkle established that, other culture conditions being optimal, flower initiation is controlled by daytime temperatures declining below 81 degrees Fahrenheit, with a definite inhibition of flowering at temperatures exceeding 84 degrees Fahrenheit. The long-held belief that reduced evening temperatures control flower initiation in Phalaenopsis was shown to be false. Rather, lower daytime temperatures influence flowering, while nighttime temperatures do not appear to have any effect. B-52 is an unlicensed, side-scrolling video game published by Codemasters for the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1992. A Commodore 64 version was completed in 1993, but was not published due to Codemasters withdrawing from the C64 market. After reaching an agreement with Codemasters, the programmer sold the game himself via a mail order. Gameplay: the player controls B-52, a honeybee with large eyes and fly-like sucker for a mouth, through which it can spit projectiles at enemies. The game is played through 12 levels, the first 4 in a backyard, the next 4 in a swamp, and the last 4 inside of a house. There are traps and enemies added for each level, from ants, grasshoppers, and even dragonflies and Venus flytraps in the later levels. The player must find and collect from many flowers scattered along over the side-scrolling level, and return to the hive after 3 flowers are visited to add their honey into a jar. The level is complete when the jar is full. In case of levels 3 to 12, this requires that every flower be visited. B-52 is a flying side-scroller. The bee is maneuvered by the control pad up, down, left, and right over enemies and through holes. The player can shoot at enemies straight ahead with the A button, or use the B button to sting enemies from above. B-52 can find add-ons such as a super stinger with a longer reach, or more powerful projectiles, either by killing a special lightning bug whose appearance is random, or by visiting certain secret holes. There is also a small insect called Junior that, when found, will orbit B-52 indefinitely. If the bee is struck, Junior will be sacrificed rather than losing a life. Without Junior, a single hit will kill B-52 and lose all weapons found. From the manual, who'd have thought that the success of major preserve distributor Really Nice Honey depended on almost exclusively one worker. Not a white or blue collar worker, but a black and yellow striped worker, you. A series of mishaps has befallen your co-workers, and now it's up to you to ensure continuing success of Really Nice Honey. The days are getting shorter and colder. Your queen is relying on you to protect the reputation of the hive, and it's rough out there. Why not try Really Nice Honey on your bread? It's as good as any other. A Really Nice Honey advertising slogan. As B-52, your job is to collect nectar to fill the jars that keep Really Nice Honey in business. The relatively simple task of collecting the nectar from the flowers is made extremely hazardous by the motley gang of ghastlies who attempt to chase, ambush you, or just blow you away. These guys, coupled with an unknown territory, certainly separate the men from the larvae. If you want an extra challenge, get a friend to take up the gauntlet as well with B-53. Flight of the Bumblebee. There are 2 routes through the game. One begins at the front door of the hive, the other at the back door of the hive. Simply move B-52 to the left or right door to choose. Take note of the advice through the doors, though. Outside, your primary objective is to collect nectar by guiding B-52 into the flowers. As the game progresses, you need more nectar to make a full pot. When your spoon is full, return to the hive to empty it into the pot. But beware, the ants are out to steal that honey. They head for the hive, and once in, take some honey from the pot. If one does get into the hive, all is not lost. Dash inside and throw him out. On later levels, ants are replaced by swamplings. These little critters float toward the hive in a gas bubble. Once again, sting them to save the game over honey. About Codemasters and its young founders. David and Richard Darling started writing video games when they were in their early teens and still at school in England. From these beginnings, David and Richard became contract game authors. They wrote games for many major British software houses, and many of them turned out to be runaway bestsellers. The boys had by then realized that they had a natural talent for coming up with games that people really wanted to play. David and Richard formed Codemasters, their own company, in October of 1986. Within a year, Codemasters was the best-selling game software publisher in the UK. Codemasters has dominated UK charts. Over 30 of the world's best games people work at Codemasters' global headquarters, a 96-acre farm in the heart of rural England. Codemasters has the resources, the expertise, and the drive to bring you the very best in video game entertainment, and that's exactly what Richard and David aim to do. I chose to play B52 because insects coming to life and collecting pollen is a great sign that spring has arrived, which is the orchid's corresponding season. This was my first time playing B52, and this is one of those classic everything is trying to kill you games. Having one hit kill your bee and have to start over with a new bee at the hive, while the flowers whose pollen you collected remains gone, is a bit frustrating. Though I suppose this simulates the reality of actual bees to an extent. However, I think a bee could handle a little more than a touch from an ant. Total build time, 36 minutes, 40 seconds, which means you could watch almost all of 1.5 episodes of Adventures of Maya the Bee. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Remember to like, subscribe, share, ring that bell, all the things for the YouTubes. Thank you.